What was ECOWAS doing if it is a truly economic community of West Africa? I therefore want to declare ECOWAS impotent. I want to declare ECOWAS void. I want to declare ECOWAS irrelevant to African interests. In fact, countries should withdraw from that body. By names, I'm called Matua Job Richard. I am from Kampala, Uganda. Matua Job Richard is an acid-tested, award-winning Pan-Africanist and a very fierce patriot. Somebody who is anti-corruption crusader in Uganda, fighting big corruption wars, and an aspiring candidate for national vice chairman of the ruling party of National Resistance Movement, NRM, in Uganda. First of all, my very sincere apology to my African brothers and sisters. I am really extremely at high voltage to discuss this matter, and I would have fallen sick if I could not submit tonight. Historically, 400 to 500 years back, the Western world, together with America, USA, took African, able-bodied African away from the continent, away from the motherland, to build Europe and USA. So the ideology was of enslaving us, the African. So the ideology of slavery, enslaving the black man, enslaving anybody who is not rated to be a white man. I'm not here starting a battle of race, but I want to make it very clear. 400 to 500 years back, Africans were taken, able-bodied one. We are taken to USA, we are taken to Europe in the name of slaves. Now, when they completed building the economies in the USA and in Europe, then these people came up with a trick that now they want to abolish slavery. Now slavery was abolished, but actually slavery was not abolished. They instead resolved to use the Africans in their own continent to produce more raw material, because the continent is the most fertile, to produce more raw material for the industries that had come in USA and in Europe. So actually, slavery was not abolished, but was turned to another form. Hence, the colonization of Africa. Now, the colonization came to a period when the imperialists, the capitalists, fought among themselves in the war we refer to as world wars. These were not world wars. These were wars among the imperialists who were fighting for dominance over us, the African, and the other part of the colonies they had. So these world wars weakened them, and they could not sustain their conquest of the colonies. Hence, they had to come up with another trick to give a fake independence to the countries they had colonized. In fact, I will tell you that for France, it was even worse. The France did not actually give independence at all, because the France continued to influence everything. Printing of money in those countries that were colonized by Africa, no, by France, is done in France. Resource, money, reserve, foreign reserves of these countries, even national reserves, are kept in a Bank of France. So actually, France did everything to make sure that what it actually gave these countries was a paper independence, was not actually any independence to say the least. Not even political independence, leave alone the economic independence that they did not grant at all. France did not even give political independence. France continued to dictate the kind of leaders that must be in those countries. These leaders must listen exclusively to the authorities in France. So this historical context must be looked into when we are discussing the current crisis in West Africa. Now, having looked at this historical context, what is it then? So I want to pre-conclusively say that actually West African countries and the other former French colonies did not get independence. Actually, the white men replaced themselves with the black men to lead for themselves their former colonies from West Africa. I can tell you France was taken, according to the former ambassador of AU to USA, Ambassador Ariakana, France took 500 billion US dollars worth of resources from Africa every year. 500 billion worth of resources from its former colonies in Africa every year. In fact, my brother Chavela, the economies in East Africa, the GDPs in East Africa combined, if you add them all together, they don't even reach 500 billion US dollars. The GDPs of all the 7 countries in East Africa, if you sum them together, the context of the crisis we are seeing in West Africa, which by and large is a bigger thing for the whole of the continent, and the other former colonies of these former colonizers, the imperialists from Europe and America. So now, what we are seeing in West Africa now is the struggle for real independence. I'm suspecting that this imperialist could be the one disconnecting me. Because the internet is okay, my data is enough. I'm telling you this. Mimi ni mbaya kabisa ndugu Sevilla. Now, what we are seeing in West Africa now is the actual struggle for the real independence. I said we did not get independence at all. For the British, they gave the political independence, but they retained the economic independence. But for France, it did not give both political and economic independence. So what we are seeing in West Africa now, what we are seeing in Burkina Faso, what we are seeing in Niger, what we are seeing in Mali, what we saw in Guinea, Conakry, is the actual struggle for independence. I want to congratulate these military officers that overthrew the Western puppets in these countries. They have lit a flame, a glorious flame that is lighting the entire continent, that is causing debate in the whole country of Africa. You can imagine these imperialists have put me offline. Light has gone off. But if you can listen to me, let me talk.
Yes,
Mr. Sevilla. Please.
Yes.
So, therefore, these military generals are the actual Pan-Africanists. They have captured the power from the imperialists. That is why the French, the British, the Europeans, the Americans are panicking. Uranium that powers the nuclear power plant in France is coming from Niger, and in Niger, 30% of the uranium that is used to power the nuclear power plant in France is coming from Niger, and in Niger, 80% of the population do not receive electricity at all. Niger, which is contributing the basic raw material that powers the nuclear power plant in France, 80% are not having power. Ndugu Sevilla, is this really democracy? This is the broad day robbery of African resources. Thank you very much, Colonel, who overthrew this Western puppet. You can imagine, gold is coming from Niger. If you go to France, France is among country number 4 with gold reserves in the world. France does not have any gold mine, not even one. Where is the gold the France is accumulating coming from? From the former French colonies in Africa. So we must say enough is enough. What these generals have done should be appreciated by ECOWAS, should be appreciated by African Union, should be appreciated by an entire black race in the world, that once in a lifetime, we now have people, we have leaders who are truly looking in the direction of Pan-Africanism. We must help these leaders to keep true to their vision, to keep true to their ideology. We must support them to ensure that they succeed, so that their example can be cascaded throughout the continent. Once and for all, we liberate this continent from the enslavement. I'm more than ready to go into the battlefield. If ECOWAS announces a war against these brothers of ours in Niger, because we have to defend Africa, we must speak. My brother Sevilla, there are people like you, the people like my other brothers who are here on the line, there are people who are listening to us. I am calling upon all the African elite to use this platform of internet and really unpack the Western life and really promote a pro-narrative of the African. ECOWAS is supposed to be economic. What was ECOWAS doing when the president of Senegal almost overthrew the constitution to run again? What was ECOWAS doing when elections were stolen in Nigeria? President Tinubu is not the genuine winner of the election. What was ECOWAS doing when in Chad, the son of the president replaced the president without any election? Was that democratic election? What was ECOWAS doing when Bonjour, the president of Niger, surrendered the entire resources of the country to the French, and then his countrymen and women were wallowing in abject poverty? What was ECOWAS doing if it is a truly economic community of West Africa? I therefore want to declare ECOWAS impotent. I want to declare ECOWAS void. I want to declare ECOWAS irrelevant to African interests. In fact, countries should withdraw from that border. I thank you very much. Ndugu Sevilla, in the production of this video, those are the things we, the African elite, should now be talking now. That look, these imperialists are not consistent in their standards. There is no certainty. There is no predictability in their ways of doing things. In one country, they are supporting a military coup. In another country, they are refusing it in the name of democracy. So are they really interested in democracy? They are not interested in democracy. It is about their interest. NATO under the influence of USA and France bombed Libya in the name of democracy. Is Libya democratic today? Is Libya any better than it was during the time of Gaddafi? Libya has become an open market of slave trade. Libya, which had everything free, which was the best in the Africa in terms of living standard, is now down to zero. Is that democracy? So I want to tell you that the use of democracy is just a window dressing. It is a decoy to deceive us. So democracy was a short change of African. We were short changed with democracy because these guys kept choosing for us who they want. That is why there are very many countries where they instigate coup d'etat and they go ahead to shamelessly support the coup people if they serve their interest. But now in this Niger, Mali, Guinea, Burkina Faso, where the coup plotters are in the interest of Africa, now they are coming out in the name of democracy. We should tell them, no what? Shut up. Shame on you. We have seen you the other time supporting military coup, shaking hand with the people who overthrew a democratically elected government yesterday. What are you telling us today? Keep quiet. These people are not democratic at all. I want to tell you, my brothers and sisters in Africa and everywhere, these people are exclusively after their interest. That is why they killed Gaddafi for wanting to unite Africa, because it did not serve their interest, and then they are trying to support President Bonjour, former President Bonjour, in the name of democracy. They are not democratic at all, and we must not accept to be lied anytime, no more, and we must say no more. Thank you.